20 years. 20 years in the ER, and there is still a part of me, some small, undeniable part that is still deeply rooted in me, that gets genuinely excited walking into a shift. The idea of walking in, not knowing what the day will bring, that still gets me. Not the performative kind of excited, not, this is my brand. I mean the real thing, the kind that still surprises me. And underneath that, growing quieter the longer I'm in it, but never quite gone, there is also something else. A fear that's been building for 20 years. You don't talk about it much. You push it down because you have work to do. But it's there. Two things, both real, both mine. The longer you do this job, the more you've seen. And the more you've seen, the more you understand how quickly things can go wrong. That knowledge doesn't make you better at staying calm. It makes staying calm harder because you know the names for things now. You know what the outcome looks like. You know the cases where someone just like you missed something and what happened next. So you carry that. And if I'm being completely honest, the line between me and this job has gotten blurry in ways I'm still working on. So much of my life is medicine. The podcasts, the journals. PA Patch is part of that blur. Who I am outside of work, I'm still figuring that out. That's not a complaint. That's just the truth. Here's what most people don't understand about an ER shift before it even starts. You walk in, you log onto the computer, and you see the board. Patient names stacked up. Some of them have been waiting since before you got there. The department is already full. You haven't said hello to anyone yet, you haven't touched a single chart, and you're already behind. People talk about code black like it's a crisis, overcapacity, more patients than resources. On TV, it's a dramatic announcement over the loudspeaker. In real life, it's Tuesday. According to the American College of Emergency Physicians, more than 90% of emergency departments in this country report chronic crowding. Not occasional crowding, chronic, and a huge part of why that board never clears is something called boarding. That's just the admitted patients who need an inpatient bed, but there's no bed available, so they stay in the ER. Sometimes for hours. According to ACEP's 2022 data, the average boarding time has climbed to right around 3 hours, nearly double what it was a decade ago. For nearly half of admitted patients, that's almost half of their entire time in the ER. Sitting in a hallway, waiting for a bed that doesn't exist yet. So the waiting room fills up because the ER can't move anyone out. And no one in that waiting room knows any of this. They just see a room full of people and a clock on the wall. That's the baseline. That's the room you walk into. Every shift, you log on. You click next patient. And there it is. That little flicker. After 20 years of clicking next patient, that flicker is still there. That small, quiet thing that made you choose this in the first place. You grab the chart. You read through it fast. You head toward the room. And you're still feeling it. That thing. As you push open the curtain. Before you can say a word. Before you've introduced yourself. Before you've asked a single question about why they came in. I've been waiting for 2 hours. Do you know how long I've been sitting out there? Now. 20 years ago, that would have caught me off guard. Now I know what's happening. This person is scared. They're frustrated. They walked into a building that's supposed to help them and then sat in a plastic chair for 2 hours watching a number that didn't move. I get it. I genuinely do. But here is the part that's hard to explain. Every second you spend absorbing that complaint is a second you are not spending on the medical reason they're here. Every redirect, every gentle, I understand, I'm so sorry about the wait. I'm here to help you now. That takes time. And somewhere behind them on that board, there are people waiting for you to finish this room and move to the next one. The busier the day, the more wait complaints you get. And the more wait complaints you get, the slower everything moves. It's a feedback loop nobody designed, but everybody's living in. You redirect. You apologize. You gently, almost pleadingly steer the conversation toward the actual complaint. And eventually, you get there. It's a cold. A cold. And look, I say that without judgment. Because here's what the data tells us about that waiting room. According to a 2024 analysis in Health Services Research, about 1 in 4 adult ER visits is for something non-urgent. A separate multi-hospital study published the same year found that around 14% are what researchers call formally avoidable, meaning a lower acuity setting could have handled it safely. Primary care, urgent care, telehealth. But here's the part that stops me cold every time I read it. That same study found that 2/3 of ER patients have a primary care provider. 2/3. They have a doctor, and they never called. Some of them were genuinely scared. They didn't know if what they had was serious, and the ER was the one place they knew would open the door. Some of them were confused about where to go. And some of them, and I say this with honesty, not judgment, wanted fast care. They didn't want to wait 3 weeks for a primary care appointment. They wanted to be seen now. Only about 3 in 100 people even considered telehealth. So the waiting room is full of all of that mixed together. Fear, confusion, convenience, and a system that never explained the difference between an emergency and an urgent problem. I think about that a lot. So, history done, exam done, chart updated, U-turn to go, hand on the curtain. That moment every provider knows, the exit. The brief, merciful pocket of hallway between one room and the next. And then, from behind you, when am I going to be seen? You turn back around. You are being seen. I'm your PA. The look that follows, the recalibration, the slight shift in posture that tells you they've just decided you don't count. You smile. You explain what's next. You walk out the door, and you click next patient. One thing I've learned, and I pass this on for free, is to get ahead of it. When you walk into that room, before the patient can say anything, you look them in the eye and you say, "I'm so sorry for your wait. I know that was a long time. I'm here now and I want to focus completely on you." Cut them off before they can unload. Not because their frustration isn't valid. It is. But because once they've vented, it takes twice as long to get to the reason you're both in this room. Lead with the apology. Own the wait, even though you didn't create it. Get them focused on the present. It doesn't work every time, but it works more often than not. 20 years in, and I'm still learning tricks for a problem I can't actually solve. Here's where I could wrap this up with something inspiring. Something about it's the 3 a.m. save, or the look on a patient's face when you tell them it's nothing serious. And those things are true. They happen. They matter. But that's not the whole answer. Not after 20 years. The fear is real. The blur between who I am and what I do, that's real. The burnout data is real. A 2018 literature review published by the National Academy of Medicine found that nearly 60% of emergency medicine PAs report significant emotional exhaustion. Over 65% show signs of depersonalization. That's not indifference, that's armor. That's what happens to a person who absorbs hard things repeatedly without enough space to set them down. And yet, I still feel that flicker when I click next patient. I don't fully understand it. I've stopped trying to explain it. It might be something chemical. It might be something older than logic. Maybe it's just that this is what I know how to do and I'm still good at it, and there's a quiet dignity in that. But I think it's also this. That person in the waiting room who's been sitting in a plastic chair for 2 hours, scared about a symptom they don't have a name for, frustrated and confused, and not sure who to trust. They need someone to walk through that curtain, and I still want to be that person. That's why I come back, at least today. If any part of this landed, if you've been that person in the waiting room, or you know someone who works these floors and you saw a little of them in this, hit the like button. It's a small thing, but it genuinely helps more people find this. And if you want more of this, the honest version, not the TV version, subscribe. New episode coming. I'll see you on the next shift.